Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of Fantastic Four issue 21. And this was a really good issue because I'm like, alright, let's see kind of how this works into the whole Empire thing going on. And this pretty much picks up at the point where the Fantastic Four sent Franklin and Val with the two children back to Earth. But before that, we get a little bit of a history lesson of the Kree and the Skrull as we see that they were both battling over the energy of a dead celestial body. And we get it from the Kree side first, and then the Skrull side as well, as we see the two respective generals, each battle damage from what had gone on, relating this history to each of their respective races. And that the intelligence for Hala is like, okay, yes, record that, record that. Same kind of with the Skrull. And that, of course, Jovan and Kala are like the living histories of their respective peoples, that they are distilled down to do that and have this certain function, which is an interesting concept. And granted, it makes for the complete animosity between both of them and wanting to pretty much murder each other and just be assholes towards each other. Like, listen, I understand they're kids, but some kids can be assholes, and these are assholes towards each other. Not really towards the Fantastic Four or anything, but they're seeing the Skrull, the Kree and the Skrull Armada is like, my side won. No, my side won, you bastard. And of course, they're like, oh god. And Franklin and Val are like, we really don't want to deal with this. But it's like, you guys have to. We have to see what the fuck is going on with that thing there. And it's like, fine, whatever. And the two children are like, hey, if this is important to the Kree and the Skrull, we should be here where their histories and shit. I mean, they got a point, but it's like, if it gets kind of hairy, like it kind of does in the whole event issue, it would have been like, what? So, they go off. Franklin, of course, is like, hey, we could go to like Morocco or Disney. Val's like, no, they meant Yancey Street. Just go back home. Of course, I kind of like how they're dealing with Franklin, because at first I was thinking he could just be going into that annoying fucking teenager phase that a lot of them can be doing, but they are doing a good job of balancing out that he is dealing with the loss of his powers, and that's a loss of identity for him that he has not had to deal with before. Can he still be a part of the Fantastic Four if he doesn't have his powers? Because he's not as smart as his sister. Granted, once you'd have to figure out that some people are smart in certain things and some people are smart in other things. But his powers and what he's been able to do with them have been a core part of his identity, and that's part of the reason why he's kind of like lashing out and wants to be in the thick of things, because he's got like god level powers that the next time he uses them could be the last. So he wants to be selective with what cosmic ending event could potentially be popping up. So I like that they are balancing that out, and you see that kind of here as he's like, oh god, I gotta deal with this. And it's funny because he now has to deal with fighting children as well. And as they're going through, we zoom into this like temple place in Vietnam, and the elder's like, oh, we gotta kind of talk to him. The trees are talking, and evidently they have to summon the dark part of their order, the Dark Harvest, to deal with something. It's like, what the hell? So we get to Yancey Street. They crash. Pretty much the kids are fighting. One's pretty much a devil snake kind of thing. The Skrull, of course, fighting the Kree, and it's just all kinds of just insanity. Joven and Kala just being like, screw this. And then Franklin's like, you guys need a timeout. Chill. What the fuck? And of course, Val's like, we're kind of going to need some help. At this point, we'd also looked in and seen that Alicia is trying to make a sculpture of Sky, and Sky's still not trying to she's like, stop moving, please. It's like, you can't see. How is me moving affecting it? And it's like, I can hear you. I'm like, yeah, interesting. But of course, they see what's going on. They decide to go and everything to check out what's going on. And Sky, of course, is perplexed that there are more races in the universe. And they're like, God, you have not been around the block. And she's like, yeah, I've been adored by millions and shit. I can handle two kids. It's like, Alicia's like, I shouldn't have brought her, should I? I'm like, ooh. I'm like, let's kind of see how this goes. She's using her thing on Joven to, her like supersonic powers to like stop him from doing shit. Of course, Val has also tried to get in contact with other members of the past Fantastic Four to get help because, I don't know, a Kree and a Skrull kind of duking it out in the middle, and like New York City kind of would lead to some questions and shit. And some pretty bad shit. So it's like, we kind of need help. So everything's kind of like going on. We see that the two people to answer the call are Spidey and Wolverine. I'm like, yeah, of course. And they work so well together. He's like, God damn it, I gotta go figure out what the hell this ringing's doing in my head for Wolverine, for the Fantastic Four. And Spidey's like, hey! How you doing, Wolvie? I'll take you there. And pretty much grabs him and like, you watch your hands, Spidey. And of course they get on there. And we see that they kind of gotten a handle on the situation. At first, they didn't kind of know what to do. Val pretty much uses Joe Venn's honor. Your actions are dishonoring me. And he's like, yeah, good, creep follows orders and everything like that. I'm sorry. And Franklin goes another route with and Colin being like, yeah, you know what the Fantastic Four do to Skrulls? We hypnotize them and make them turn into cows. She's like, please don't turn me into a cow. That was pretty funny. I'm like, sometimes you gotta use the weirdest of fucking threats to have something to have an effect to be like, stop. Okay? And of course, this is when they both kind of show up trying to figure out what's going on. Of course, Nkala hears Alicia Masters and is like, bolts at her for some reason, like, Alicia Masters. And then, of course, Wolverine takes this as like an aggressive thing and fucking stabs her pretty much in the chest. It's like, holy shit, I didn't know it was a kid. And she's like going into medical stasis. And Alicia was like, I heard that voice. That voice is familiar. What the hell? And she's like, Alicia, please help me. It's like, what the hell? So that's an interesting kind of setup that I'm intrigued to see what goes on with that. We'll have to see what other Fantastic Four people are brought into effect because the Dark Harvest is coming for them. They are going to need backup. I mean, Sky's a pretty capable fighter, but this looks like a giant-ass group. Wolverine's definitely going to be needed. Spidey is going to be a really good effect, and we'll have to see what other ones pop up and how they're going to handle this, like, deadly force of warrior monks coming at their ass to kill two children. So, and what I'm intrigued to see what that whole Alicia thing's gonna like turn out to be. I'm like, oh, okay, that's an interesting tease. I want to know more about that. So I really enjoyed this issue. I like the artwork and style of what's going on. It really fit with the action sequences, and I can't wait to see where this goes and what other tie-ins this is going to be doing with Empire. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.